Morning, brethren. Welcome to another daily devotional. This morning, I want us to look at what Paul has to say in Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. There, the Apostle Paul says, I appeal to you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The Apostle Paul is making it clear to believers that they are to be different from the world in which they live. When he talks about the world, he's obviously speaking about people in society who are not Christians. And he's saying to these believers in Rome, you're to be different from them. You're not just to blend in and just be like everyone else. When he talks about presenting their bodies as living sacrifices, the picture that he has in view is that of a person under the Old Testament economy coming to God with a burnt offering. The burnt offering was a voluntary offering brought by someone who recognized God's goodness and God's mercy towards them, and who, in appreciation for all that God had done for them, brought this animal as a sacrifice to God. It was a whole burnt offering. None of the animal was kept back for either the priests themselves or for the people to eat. The offering was totally consumed in the fire at the sacrifice. And it was the person saying to God, I am giving myself over to you completely, in acknowledgement and thanksgiving for all that you have done for me. Paul is saying that as Christians, this is what we should do with respect to our lives. Our lives are to be given wholly over unto God by way of thanksgiving for what God has so graciously done for us, giving us salvation in Christ and blessing us abundantly in daily life. And then Paul goes on and he says, the way that you show that you are giving your life over as a sacrifice to God is by not being conformed to this world, being different from it. J.B. Phillips has written a paraphrase of the book of Romans. And when it comes to chapter 12 and verse 2, this is what he says: do not allow the world to squeeze you into its mould. The world has a mould, and that mould is constructed out of the world's values, the world's standards. It's constructed out of the world's desires, the world's attractions. Part and parcel of it is what the world finds desirable. And everyone in the world is squeezed into that mould to some degree or another. Christians are to make sure that they don't fit that mould, that they are different from the people who are unsaved. So, for example, there are places that the unsaved will want to go for entertainment. Christians will not want to go there because the entertainment is such that it's sinful. There are things that non-Christians will do, which again are sinful, but Christians are not to do those things. There are standards and values by which the people of this world live. Christians are to live by different values and standards. When it comes to morality, the Christian marches according to a different drumbeat. Brethren, we are to be different. We're to stand out. We're not just to blend in and be the same as everyone else. People ought to know by the way we live our lives, by the way we speak, by the way we behave, by our attitudes, that we are Christians. A Christian is someone whom others will know to be honest, patient, kind, not a gossip, someone who is morally upright, someone who is not living in any way a dodgy life. Christians are to be in the world, but they're not to be of the world. Brethren, how do we know that we're saved? Well, one of the marks of a Christian is that their life is different from the lives of others. They live according to God's mould and not the world's mould. They desire to please God, not others, and not primarily self. So ask yourself the question today: if I was arrested for being a Christian, would there be stacks of evidence against me to prove me guilty? It would be a wonderful thing to have loads of evidence to show that you are a follower of Christ. May God help us as we ponder these things throughout the day. Every blessing today, brethren.